Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to the update preview stream. This is Bugs here. I'm joined today by Artemis and Miss D. Say hi, guys.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, guys.
So, what do we have going on this week? Well, it is 1 week since the big update and forced wipe, and we've been seeing some Steam issues that hopefully are mostly resolved. And we're seeing some more progress on some new kind of water based activities, along with some fixes and improvements and all that stuff. So, as always, what we're going to do is go through what is going on in Rust development. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to do at Miss D underscore, that's me, in chat. And we'll get to as many as we have the opportunity to. Also, before we get into it, a little bit about whips. What's going on with the server wipes today? Well, for Rustafied servers, we are wiping the weekly Thursday wipe servers. So that's your mains, your smalls, your barons, your Zen labs, and the like, and they are wiping at the regular scheduled time, which is 3 p.m. local time for the region, which means AU SEA wiped like 12 hours ago, EU wiped 3 hours ago, and then we got the US servers, US small, main, Baron, Zen Labs wiping in 2 hours. Had to think about that for a hot second, make sure I was on track. But yes, at 3 p.m. EST is when the US servers are wiping. These are map wipes only today, as we are just 1 week from the update happening. So let's get into it. What is going on in Rust development? Well, before we go into the development stuff, I do want to discuss the Steam authentication issues that have been plaguing Rust for the past couple days. Thankfully, most of it does seem resolved, although we were at wipe of EU seeing still a couple issues arising for people. But long and short, basically Tuesday night into Wednesday, and this all started with the normal Steam Tuesday night update stuff. As if you're not aware, Steam generally does an update on Tuesday evenings, and it can cause some Steam authentication issues for brief periods of time. But generally, it's resolved in 15 minutes or so. Unfortunately, that was not the case this week, as Tuesday night the authentication issues spurred up, and they weren't resolved until sometime Wednesday afternoon. And unfortunately, this was completely out of the hands of server owners. It was also completely out of the hands of Facepunch, as it is just a Steam issue. And unfortunately, Steam engineers weren't awake apparently to resolve it. But then on Wednesday, when they woke up, they changed some rate limiting things, and it got better. But with the server wipes today, we were seeing a couple people get kicked still for Steam authentication issues. So I'm hesitant to say the issue is completely resolved. Thankfully, we were seeing most people on our servers who were kicked from it were able to rejoin within our 5 minute grace period, as we do have a plugin that specifically does that. If you do get disconnected, you have 5 minutes to rejoin and not hit the queue, even if you don't have VIP or anything, because disconnects and crashes are really a pain in and of themselves. But man, if you get crashed and then you got to wait in a 200-person queue, that's more than just some salt in the wound. So we did implement that grace period thing. So hopefully, if you are getting the issue, maybe just restart Steam real quick and then join the server again, see if that helps. And we intend these Steam issues get better. They are definitely better than it was. The other thing that we did Tuesday night is, after it became clear that this wasn't going to be resolved in an hour or so, we actually did take our servers down for a period of time, and a bunch of other official servers did as well. This was because some people, very few people, could connect, and the lucky ones in there were able to basically offline raid, and it risked really destroying the wipe for a lot of people. So to keep everything fair, we did shut the servers down for a period of time and brought them back up when the Steam authentication issues were resolved. In all my years of hosting, and it's going on 10 now, and probably 8 of that, 9, I've been on the official list. We've never had to do anything like that. This was really a first, and I hope it's a last. I hope it's one of those once in a lifetime things. But I do appreciate everyone's patience with it and understanding that, it was out of our control, it's out of Facepunch's control. And hopefully Steam, you know, bucks up and doesn't let this happen again, because it's really a shame to have everyone not be able to play the game for like almost a day. That's kind of crazy. Anyway, that is the Steam woes, and we are intending they get better. Now let's get into some of development news. What is going on in ongoing Rust development? Well, we've got some exciting stuff, mostly water-based actually. There's a new diver suit branch that just kind of made its appearance. Interestingly enough, it's been worked on for a couple weeks, but all the commits were actually hidden. And then they decided for whatever reason to start doing some public commits on this diver suit branch. Now, of course, you can always already dive in the game and everything like that, but this, based on the commits and the vibe of it, I'm feeling like this is something different. I'm feeling like this is one of those things, the big metal, like the deep sea diving suit with the big brown metal helmet and like the portals you can see through. Like, I don't know if that was Jacques Cousteau or some other shit, but and then like he's got a hose attached or something and he's just kind of floating around down there. That's kind of what I'm picturing. Now, I have no idea if that's what they're actually doing or not, but that was really what my gut told me reading the commits that is the type of thing they're working on. So maybe this is going to be for more extended periods underwater and just better or more efficient water exploration type of thing. So that's an interesting thing. No visuals yet, still on a separate branch, and we haven't really heard or seen anything from the devs other than just a couple commits. And still on the diver suit branch, a bunch of the commits are still hidden. So there is a bit of obfuscation there, but we're keeping a close eye on that one and going to be very interesting to see what that is and how that impacts game and underwater gameplay. Now, also in the water realm, we've got a tugboat being worked on. Now, this we've seen the branch for a week or two, and we're just seeing it come together. Basically, it's no visuals, still on a separate branch, and the commits basically just are along the lines of what you'd expect if a development team was putting a tugboat into a game. It's like buoyancy stuff and doing the textures, and they even were working on the tugboat UI a bit and the functionality of, well, tugging, as you would imagine. So that's going to be an interesting one. Not only is it a new watercraft, but it stands to be able to tug things around. I mean, is that just going to be other boats or something else? I don't know, but we will keep an eye on this. And basically, it looks like they're pretty far along in this. I'd say it looks like they're farther along in the tugboat than they are in the diver suit. Now, keep in mind, we're not developers. We just report on development news and stuff and run the best servers that we can. So, this is speculation, but it does seem like based on the commits and the velocity of them, that the models and the textures are set, the physics and the buoyancy is set, the fuel consumption and the initial tugging functionality is there. So maybe we'll see this tugboat hit staging sometime in the next week or two and be able to do a full deep dive into, what you can do with it and how it's going to impact gameplay. Also, we have some improvements to bears coming in. It looks like mostly in the animation realm. I'm kind of thinking, this is a follow-up to or a continuation of the branch of work that we just saw the improved horse animations come in last week. And it looks like now they've moved on to bears and they're improving the bear animations. It doesn't look like just idle animations like with the horses. This actually looks like that we might have a couple different attack poses and even some standing attack things and also some, of course, idle animations as well. So, also, as pretty much everything is this week, and as we generally see the week after Forced Wipe, everything's on a separate branch, and there really ain't much of anything to show off to y'all here. But we will continue to have Artemis peacefully scroll through the landscape of Rust here. Thank you, Artemis, for doing such a great job with that, as always.
You're welcome.
And moving on, we got some building skin fixes. This is not a surprise to see based on the fact that we just saw the new building skin, the shipping container skin, go live last week. And generally speaking, when we see any new functionality like that go into the game, there are some fixes and glitches to resolve. And so we are seeing a couple things around the shipping container rocket splash damage, when dealing with wall corners. The splash damage just wasn't exactly what they were intending. They fixed vehicles being able to clip through the shipping container foundations. And they also fixed the shipping container roof top line collider to make it more accurate. And so just some miscellaneous fixes around specifically the shipping container building skin. We're also seeing some tweaks to scientist AI come in, And this is basically just dealing with the behavior of those various blue and other color scientists around the map. They've lowered the FOV considerably. They've also um, made it so they can always detect out of vision uh, players, but only if they're very, very close. So it's like the scientists can kind of like hear behind you if you're close, but otherwise they're not going to like just snap and see you even though they were out of your field of view. And that's the lowering that FOV is really, I'd say, a pretty big nerf for the scientists because they're just going to be able to see less of an area. They now sometimes turn and run to cover instead of retreating slowly backwards like they would have done before. So instead of just slowly backing up, they're going to run and find some cover. And they enter combat state. When they do, they're not taking cover when initially attacked anymore. So they're just tweaking how they're behaving you know, uh, when engaged in combat, when roaming and looking for people and all that stuff. And now they also have a percent chance per tick of continuing to move to chase position in chase state when the player is in line of sight instead of just stopping when in line of sight and switching to combat state. So it's all to say they're going to chase you a bit more, basically, from the looks of it, instead of just stopping and going into combat state. So we're still keeping an eye on these things. It's all in a separate branch, so nothing to really, test out too much yet. But we're going to keep an eye on it, and then maybe as this gets merged in and we get closer to the update, we can kind of see what these changes are and how big of a deal it's going to be for players when they're, going to monuments and stuff like that. Also, we did see a bit of nerf to farming here, as they did increase the water consumption of sprinklers to better match the water being consumed in the liquid containers. So, in initial testing, basically, it just required sending more water. Basically, the sprinklers were using more water than previously, so you're going to need to provide more water sources to properly run those sprinklers. This does seem to still be a work in progress, so don't get caught up too much on any one thing here because it's very possible that it will change prior to going into the game. There's also more progress on weapon racks. It looks like that was the originally it was a hack week project, and now it looks like they are working on bringing weapon racks into production based on commits. It looks like there might be a couple different sizes of weapon racks. And the cool thing with weapon racks is going to be that you can drop a weapon near it and the rack will automatically, mount that weapon. And then you can also visually see the weapons on the rack. And the idea is you can go straight up to it and pull a weapon off without having to go into some like inventory UI stuff and drag stuff to your hotbar type of thing. So that's the idea with the weapon racks. No visuals on that yet, as it's continued to be on a separate branch for months now. There have been some rumors that this will be a part of a DLC coming up. That is not confirmed. So we're just keeping an eye on it. But it does look like there's been a good amount of work on weapon racks for a while now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that hit staging and more of a testing phase sometime this month. We're also seeing some optimizations to the networking of bases, and this will hopefully just help with the loading of bases in as you're moving, especially in like a mini copter from one place to another. Ideally, the rendering and the server networking of that is just going to be more optimized and less prone to, hitching and delays and things like that. They're also doing some more updates on the water, including optimizations and animations. This is something we've seen a number of times, a bunch of different iterations of the water system, and this is just the latest one. Not sure exactly how big it's going to be as far as noticeability is concerned. Like, oh wow, that's really different. But hey, any optimizations, that's a good thing right there because that means more FPS for players. It ideally means more resources available for servers running and all that good stuff. Now, also, they're working on some more props for the nuclear missile silo. This is just random like stuff that's being placed around the nuclear missile silo. I'm not sure if they're working on that to be able to transfer those to other monuments or if they're just further interestingly what geez, that was not the way to say that. If they're just trying to make the missile silo more interesting by putting more like tchotchkes in there, I'm not really sure, but we're keeping an eye on it. And also, they're doing some more work on the ragdoll physics updates and rewrites and stuff like that. That's been a long time and process here, and it's basically just like when the player's body is dead, it turns into a ragdoll. And they were having different issues with like how that ragdoll was behaving with different, on different vehicles and uh, interacting with different foliage around the map and things like that. And it's really been kind of this it seems like this hit and miss where they'll try something out and then they'll revert it and then they try something else and it's sort of right, but then they got to tweak that. It just seems like a bunch of kind of weeks of doing that. So I'm not really sure where that ragdoll thing is going to land, but ideally the ragdolls will just behave as you would expect and interact with the uh, items in the environment as a ragdoll should, right? So we'll keep an eye on that. And then finally, there's more progress on server to server transfer. That's the Nexus stuff. I think that's also the ferry terminal stuff we're seeing, and that's of course just the been man. It's about a year and a half. This has been in process here, but that's the functionality where certain servers will be able to kind of cloud link themselves and they'll share wipe times and they'll share blueprints across the servers. And players will be able to go, it looks like, to the ferry terminal and then choose a different server to go to. And they'll actually be transported with their boat, with their items, with their team to this other transfer to be able to go and roam around and raid and stuff and then hop back in the ferry terminal and return to their home server. So an exciting functionality, but definitely a big deal. And so not surprised that it is this long in progress and no word really on when we're going to see it go live. But based on my previous conversations with FacePunch, it does look like they are going to be testing this out on the FacePunch official servers first for a little bit. Once we're able to test it out, we will try with like our medium one and medium two, and maybe long one and long two, maybe even all three longs potentially. We'll see, but probably only in each region. I don't think it would work to have US servers cloud linked with a EU server necessarily. That's probably not ideal, but we're going to play with it as it comes out. And as it stands, there's no release date on it. So we'll just kind of keep an eye on it and let you know as we're able to start messing around with it. And that about does it for Rust development so far this week. Now, couple things. There is actually a Twitch drop happening starting Sunday. It's going to be the Twitch drops, and that's from June 11th to June 17th. And that's to support the Hispanic community of Bellum, featuring R on Play and Greg Recoy. I'm not. I can't. I'm horrible with names, so sorry. But it's supporting a lot of Hispanic streamer community, and shout out to them. And it looks like there's going to be some cool drops. So definitely head over to twitch.facepunch.com. Get ready. It starts once again Sunday and runs for about a week. And you just got to link your accounts there and then watch the participating streams while it's going on and get some sweet, sweet Twitch drops. You can see some previews of some already on the dev blog last week, and then there's some hidden ones it looks like as well. But yeah, that's about what's going on in Rust development for the week. Shadow, do we have any questions from the audience?
Um, is the update now or is it on July 4th?
You're gonna have to repeat that because literally, as you said, my headset decided to turn itself off because it likes to do that sometime, thinking I'm not using it.
Is the update now or is it on July 4th?
The update is not now, and it's also not on July 4th. It's actually going to be on the 6th of July, I believe. Let me double check that real quick. Yeah, so it's the 6th of July, which is the first Thursday of July. And that is like 4 weeks from today. Now, interestingly enough, June is a 5 Thursday month. So, real quick to touch on that, how that works for especially the bi weekly server wipes is what we'll do is they wiped last week with the forest, right? And they'll wipe again next week and have another 2 week cycle. But then on that last week, they'll just wipe again and have a 1 week cycle. So that's what's going to happen with like the mediums and the trios for this month, just as a heads up. But no, as far as today is concerned, there's no update expected out. This is just an update preview stream, which we do every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, just to go through what's going on in Rust development for the week and answer any questions people might have about that.
Have there been any updates regarding the incoming gunner heli?
Yeah, the attack heli, man. I haven't seen that in a little while. And it looked like they were pushing on that pretty hard and looking to get it out. I was thinking maybe even for June, but then it looked like maybe focus has shifted. We're seeing a lot more work on like the tugboats and the diver suit. I'm not sure if they hit a wall with the attack heli or they just decided it's not going to be launched yet, or if they are still working on it in the background and we're just not seeing that many commits about it. It really could be any number of those things. But it's all to say, no, I don't know where the attack heli is, and I am very curious to see when it comes into the game and how it's going to function. But it doesn't seem to be that actively being developed at the moment. I'm not going to say it's in concept limbo because man, did they do a lot of work on that attack heli? Like I really thought it was pretty close to go, but yeah, we'll keep you posted and keep an eye out because that's definitely an interesting one to see enter the game.
Will there be a new skin in the limited shop today?
Yeah, it looks like there's going to be some new skins in the item store today. And I say that just because literally every Thursday afternoon, at some point, generally speaking, they update the skins on the item store. And there's new skins every week. Now, sometimes that is delayed until Friday morning or something like that. And there's no set exact time for when they launch those skins. But generally speaking, it's like within the next hour or two on Thursdays.
One sec, I was just copy pasting some. Do you think it's gonna be an option to like do floating bases?
I don't know. I've always thought that might be interesting, provided it had the right balance and everything. I thought it was interesting that one of the Hack Week projects was like working on airships, where, and that's not going to come in, but the idea was that you would build a base, attach a hot air balloon to it, and then it would start floating through the air. And when that was happening, I was thinking, man, why aren't they just they got so much water around here? Why don't they just make a base that floats on the water, you know? And granted, you wouldn't want like huge things. There'd have to be some limitations, right? But I think that would be kind of a cool thing to explore. Um, yeah. I mean, also maybe underwater bases. Would that be a step too far? I don't know. I don't know.
I think that
uh,
would be nice though.
but it could be, and, you know, once again, all this stuff would have to be balanced, right? You couldn't have something like be super OP, but one of the core things about the game is building bases, right? And so adding more options on how and where to build those bases seems like a clear win to me, providing once again it is balanced. So I haven't heard anything about floating bases, but I think it would be a cool thing to explore. And maybe the tugboat is the prerequisite for that. Wouldn't that be nuts? Because I've been thinking, what's the tugboat gonna tug? I mean, it can tug a rib, sure, but why are you gonna be tugging a rib around? What the fuck? So, but if you got a floating base, you want to move it a little bit, maybe you need a tugboat. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Someone just said teleporting bases would be nice.
Teleporting bases. Well, I don't know about that, but hey, yeah, let's bring the portal gun into this game and make it Portal 3 over here.
Ahem. Um, is there any news on any upcoming weapons? I thought I saw something about a USP on the commit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, and man, you asked that. I'm hitting some brain fog because I could have sworn there was one being worked on too, but I feel like it was like 2 months ago that we were seeing commits about it. I'd have to scroll back through the commits, and I got this idea. I want to create this new thing that where you it views the commits easier. And I'm got some team members working. We're just at concept stages here, but I'm working on like a commit aggregator to like be able to more easily like look through the commits and separate them by by project and all this stuff. I'm not going to go into it too much, but man, I do wish I had that now because then I could look back more easily. But I do think there was some other weapon, at least one being worked on. Um, but it doesn't seem like it's actively being worked on now. as in it's not a priority. I don't expect any new weapons to hit the game or hit staging this month, but we'll keep our eyes peeled.
And this we didn't have for a while. Is there a new AK recoil?
Oh, no, 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 no AK recoil. But thank you for asking. It's a
Right?
classic question. I always appreciate it.
Yeah, we like it. Is there any updates on when we can get pet polar bears?
No. And will you ever be able to get pet polar bears? As awesome as that may be, I don't know. I do know they were working on pets for a while, and we had the Pets and the Pets 2 branch. Shit, we might have even had a Pets 3 branch for all I know. But that was being worked on for a little while. The initial stages of that was like the Frankenstein's monsters thing for the Halloween event, which was like originally I think 2 years ago. And then since then, we've seen over the months and months pets commits, but mostly around canines, mostly around dogs. And what it was going to be, there were at least three breeds of dog, and then they were going to be like kind of wild dogs, and then you'd have to craft a collar to tame it. And then once you tamed it, you'd be able to control it, like be like, hey, protect me, or hey, go over there, or sit. I don't know, roll over. What do you tell dogs to do, right? But as far as like taking the other animals from the wild, including polar bears, and taming them, I'm not sure that's in the cards.
Let me see here. Has anyone figured out how to claim abandoned bags?
No, I haven't. Have you guys?
No, genuinely haven't. Not at the
It
minute.
kind of, and I was just, I kind of just, I'll be honest, I just kind of grazed over this one last week because in the dev blog, it was like, it came out and it was like, yeah, you can just claim unclaimed bags. But for the life of us, we couldn't figure it out. I thought I was doing something wrong, but, no, I don't know. I don't know.
Will there come a new building skin for high call as well?
I imagine so. Based on what we've seen on the commits around the building skin branches, we have seen a couple more skins in process than the ones that have gone live. So, of course, we've got Adobe that went live the other month. And then this month, we've had the shipping container go live. And Adobe was stone and shipping container was sheet metal. So it does seem like we're moving up the ladder, so to speak. Now, the other commits around the building tiers, I think the names they were working on a brick, they were working on a stone block, and they were working on a tribalist skin. So those were the three building skin names that come to mind. No visuals on any of those yet. I mean, maybe the armored would be maybe stone block. It's just a bunch of big ass stone blocks, and that rivals armor. Tribalist, maybe that's wood or something. I don't know. But it's cool because the UI does now allow for multiple building skins on each tier, as opposed to the original one was just like toggle the skins on or off, which would only allow for one building skin per tier. So I do think we're going to see more building skins hit over the next coming months. It's a logical way for the devs to keep, you know, adding stuff to the game and keep monetizing the game so they can keep adding stuff to the game, adding these optional DLCs that impact just visual stuff. I think it's a good call. It is. You do want to be careful, of course, with like having it enter that pay to win realm, where it's not really pay to win, but it's pay to get an advantage. And there have been some valid arguments, I think, with the shipping container skin around that. And I think that's a area where the devs really do want to be careful about what they release and what they put into the skins, and basically anything they put behind a paywall, and what potential advantages that would have to those who haven't bought it. But it is all to say, I think the building skins and the DLCs in general are a great way for the devs to add more visual contrast to the game and continue monetizing the game, so that they can keep developing the game. And I think that's something sometimes people forget. They're like, oh, they're putting out another DLC and it's pay to win and they're just money grabbing here. And it's like, no, these guys have been developing the game every week for 10 freaking years. There's a whole development studio working on this. And it's not necessarily just going to get by on game sales. So they have the skins each week, which are cosmetic, And I think adding DLCs, especially building skin DLCs, is a great way for them to continue to, monetize so they can continue to develop this game. I personally would love them to continue developing this game for years and years to come. So if this is what allows them to do that, then man, am I all for it. And long-winded way of saying, yeah, I think we are going to see more building skins. I think it's likely we'll see an armor one and a wood one, and who knows? Maybe we'll see a twig one. I don't know. I can't imagine that would be too useful, but role playing, you never know.
Do you think they're gonna rework the wooden walls and stuff as well?
I don't know. They might. Uh, I think there's opportunities to improve and make more complexity to building. I still I'm an old timer here, but I miss my half blocks, But but yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunities in the realm of building, and building is such a huge part of the game, and raiding and defending is such a huge part of the game. I think it would make sense to, put some more effort and build that out more.
What about the attachment, the weapon attachment update?
Um, I'm blanking on that one, to be honest. What weapon attachment update? Did I just miss something?
I'm not sure.
I don't think so. They did some updates a little while ago to the weapon attachments, but I haven't seen anything else, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not aware of anything in the past week around that, but if you want to elaborate a bit more, and I'd be happy to look into it.
I'm sorry if you said it and I missed it, but are they fixing the storage container splash through the wall bug?
Yeah, they are fixing that. That's been addressed this week. I don't think it's necessarily going to come in a hot fix. Maybe it will, but so we might have to wait till July for that. But it is being addressed.
Is there any word if they're going to flip the shipping floor?
Yeah, I know a lot of people have been talking about the shipping container and how it should be flipped because right now, when you look up, the color's on the inside. And if you're using that as a roof, then you'd want the color to be on the outside, not the um,
Wood.
not the wood, right?
Yeah.
But if you think about it, also like those elements are also floors, and so if you're using them as floors and you keep building up levels, then it kind of is on the right side, sort of, if you think about it from that angle. So I don't know if they're going to shift it. I understand why people are asking the question. I totally get it, but I'm not sure they are going to shift it.
One sec. Let's do a recap. I think we have one question, and if we have more after you're done with the recap, we can do more questions.
All right, sounds good. And yeah, it's a light week, as generally we do see the week after forced wipe and update. We see forward progress on some separate branches, but there's generally speaking very little to show off. But I'll run through what's being worked on this week. Real quick before that, just once again to address the issues with Steam authentication and timeouts earlier in the week. That is something that was a big Steam issue. It was primarily Tuesday night into Wednesday afternoon that it was affecting everyone. We did shut our servers down for a period of time during that outage just to keep gameplay fair because not everyone was disconnected. Some people, very few people, could connect, but it wasn't really fair to have them be able to play an extended period of time while the majority of people wouldn't be able to connect. So we did shut our servers down for a little while until it was resolved. It does look like that issue is mostly resolved now. We did right after EU wipe see a couple people get kicked for EAC violations, um, but it seems like that's cleared up, and I'm just intending that this just resolves itself. But it was just a really bad case of Tuesday night Steam updates that screwed up the authentication stuff in a way that in my 10 years of doing this, I haven't seen such a goof, such a long extended goof from Steam in that capacity. So hopefully it was just a one-time thing and it's all resolved now, but that's what's going on with Steam. And thank you to everyone for understanding that it's out of our control. It's out of FaceBunch's control. It's just an unfortunate thing that we got to wait for Steam to fix. And I appreciate your patience with the matter. Now on to what's going on in development. We got work on a diver suit going on. It looks like, well, no visuals on it yet, but my kind of sense of it is this is going to be one more of a like heavy duty diver suit, where it's got that big like metal helmet with the portals in there and stuff, and something along that vein is what I'm kind of picking up on. It's still on a separate branch, and a lot of the commits on that branch are hidden. So we'll have to kind of wait until either the devs release something more or it gets merged into staging so we can test it. But we are keeping an eye on that diver suit. Also, we're keeping an eye on tugboats. That's been worked on for a couple weeks now. And it, of course, is going to be a new vehicle, a new boat for Rust. And it's going to tug stuff, is the idea. Based on the commits, it looks like the models and the textures are all set. The physics and the buoyancy has been worked on. The fuel consumption and storage is all set. So it looks like the boat is really coming along, and maybe at a state where in the next week or so we could see it hit staging and then tell you more about it then and give you some visuals. So we'll keep you posted. They're also working on improvements to bears, basically just improved animations for bears, not only idle animations, but attack animations and standing poses and stuff like that. So could have some more interesting stuff in the realm of bears come July. Also, we got some building skin fixes, mainly around the shipping container building skin that went live last week. They did fix the splash damage issue with wall corners that people are asking about. That has been resolved there. They also fixed vehicles being able to clip through shipping container foundations and fixed the roof top line collider. They made it more accurate for the shipping container. Also, they're doing some tweaks to scientist AI. It looks like it's just behavioral stuff around when they attack, how they attack, what they can see. So they lowered the field of vision considerably of the scientists, and they're not going to be as laser eyed, especially around the peripheral, it seems. They have rear vision detection where it will always detect out of vision, but only if the player is very, very close. So if you're like 50 yards away and behind a scientist, is not going to like whip around and start shooting you. And then they'll now turn and run to cover instead of retreating slowly backwards in certain instances. And they'll enter a combat state and not take cover when initially attacked. So just some behavioral changes to scientist AI. Nothing able to be tested really yet, but just to note as you're entering July after the update in July, as you're working monuments, those scientists may behave a little bit differently. And we'll keep you posted between now and then as well. In the realm of other stuff, they did do a little nerf to farming. It looks like this week they increased the water consumption for sprinklers to better match the water being consumed in liquid containers. And based on our initial testing, it just meant like to source the same amount of sprinklers, you just need more water sources basically than before. So it's just they're consuming a lot more water. Also, there's more progress on weapon racks. There's optimizations for networking of bases, and some optimizations and improved animations for water are being worked on as well. There's some more work on props for the nuclear missile silo. This is just little tchotchkes like around the nuclear missile silo. They're working on ragdoll physics. This has been something they've been working on for weeks now, and they kind of seem to go back and forth a little bit on, but it's really just like how the ragdolls will behave with the various elements around the map and around it, and working on improving those. And then finally, there's more progress as well on server to server transfers. That's that Nexus body of work and the ferry terminal stuff. No sign on when that's going to be necessarily going live in the game. But we are excited to test that out. And as soon as we can, we will test it out on a couple of our Rustafied servers as well. And then finally, there are Twitch drops going on starting Sunday, June 11th, going till the 17th. And this is around the Hispanic community Bellum. And there's some cool drops. Head over to twitch.facepunch.com, link your account, check out what the drops are going to be. And then, yeah, make sure to tune in Sunday and all of next week for getting those drops across the board. Just watch the participating streamers and get those skins. And that about does it.
Let me see here. So the guy that was asking about the weapon attachments, He said, I might be wrong here, but there was like a teaser about a weapon attachment update, but that was a few months ago, so I don't know if that got ditched or not.
Oh yeah, I mean that's ringing like a slight little bell. I'll be honest, I've been dealing with brain fog and my memory's been crap the past like year. It's like really gone to shit. I gotta like I don't know change my diet or like get more sunlight or a lobotomy. I don't know what I got to do, but it's all to say that is ringing a little bell, but just a little one, and I haven't seen anything related to it in the past several weeks in the realm of commits. So but I will, now that you mentioned it, I'll keep an eye out for it and make sure to include anything in upcoming articles on Rustafied.com. As always, we do an article every Thursday. First thing, it goes live midnight Thursday Eastern Time. And that article on Rustafied.com summarizes everything going on in Rust development for the week and stuff like that. And then, of course, also every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, we're here, same time, same place, doing just a little summary of what's going on in Rust development and making ourselves available to answer any questions you might have. So we will keep you posted over time.
Is there any updates on ESC working on changing or improvement?
On the say the first part, any update on the what?
EAC working or
EAC.
changing or
Oh,
improving?
EAC. Don't get me
Yeah.
started about EAC. No, I don't know any update about EAC. I know they're still not doing their goddamn job yet. Well, I mean, sure, they do ban some people, but generally it's too little, too late. I am happy to say we have been working on an internal detection system of our own because, hey, like it just got so bad we couldn't rely on them. So we've got our own internal detection system. We've been tweaking it and cranking it up, turning up the dial, so to speak. And it's been doing a really good job of catching hackers. It's not 100%. It's not there yet. Um, and I'm exploring other options. I know AI is so hot right now. I've reached out to another company about some sort of solution there. Looking at some developers to maybe work with some of the metrics that we have available and maybe create some decisioning that's backed on like AI. But man, is that far off? And God damn it, is that not what I want to be focusing on? I want to run the servers. I want to report on development news. I don't want to create a new AI anti-cheat thing for a game that already has an anti-cheat solution that's just not working properly. But as you can tell, I am frustrated by this because the hacker situation is a problem. And if you just look at the metrics that FacePunch posted last year, there were 2 million individuals going through official servers throughout the year, and there were over 800,000 banned accounts in that year, too. So it's like, that's a problem. And I'll tell you, it hasn't gotten better this year. It's a big problem. And so we've got a new round of moderation team coming on. We're onboarding them this week. We're building our team of human beings just to throw more people at it, more eyes at it. And we are working every week and improving every week our internal anti cheat system to get rid of these people quicker. In the meantime, as you see hackers or even suspect people in our servers, please do use the report feature. It's just slash report in-game chat, or you can go to our Discord. And I do recommend doing it in our Discord. Then you can get the report ID, copy that for future reference. And if you want an update on something, you do get an update message to you if someone's banned, kicked, or muted based on your report. But sometimes you might want an update, and having that report ID is helpful because that's what our mods in Discord will ask for. Like, hey, do you have a report ID? And then we can follow up on the situation. Um, it's also unfortunate because a lot of our reports, I'll be straight, are crap. They're reporting people with 10,000 hours in the game and they're legit players. And we have to sift through a ton of reports on legit players. And it's all to say there's a lot of noise there as well. So we're working on improving the report system as well. We got plans for that. But man, is it a headache to deal with this? And we're devoting resources, we're devoting time, we're hiring new people just specifically to deal with this. And once again, I wish I didn't have to because I wish EAC, which FacePunch pays a great deal of money, I can't imagine how much they pay EAC to do this. And EAC isn't doing their job effectively enough. They're not quick enough. They're not effective enough. They're not catching these guys as they need to be caught. And it's a game of cat and mouse, and the fucking mouse is winning over here when it comes to EAC only. So we're working on it internally. Hopefully EAC gets better. I know that's a long-winded thing, but I really do want to just be straight with you guys about where it's at. It's a problem, and there are hackers in our servers, and we do our best to get rid of them. And we are limited with our tools and our abilities with just what we're given. So we're working on it. We're doing our best. And what you can do is F7 the crap out of them, but also do slash report in Gamer and Discord and Rustified servers. And our moderation team will look at it and be as proactive as possible around this. And thank you for your understanding and your patience with it, because yeah, it's super sucks to deal with hackers, especially in this game. Especially in this game. It's one thing to have like a Counter-Strike round ruined by a hacker, right? But it's a whole nother thing to have an entire wipe, hours and hours of time ruined in minutes by some freaking little hacker. So yeah, we're working on it, and hopefully we'll continue to see improvements on the internal stuff. We have improved it a ton, and hopefully, knock on wood, EAC gets a lot better here soon.
There's not really any questions, but I saw someone saying that we need a big garage door for Scrappy and the military boat. Like
Oh yeah, cool.
yeah, so we can get in and out.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So I think that was about it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good place to leave it. I just gave my anti-cheat sermon, and amen. And we got no more questions, and there's nothing to show off because it's the week after Forced. So I do just want to thank everyone for tuning in, and thank you guys for the support. I know a lot of people tune in and just assume we're developers of the game, or like FacePunch hired us to do what we're doing here. And I want to remind you all that's not the case. We're an independent organization of just fans of the game who love the game, love reporting on development news, and running the best servers that we can. And the only way that we can do this is through the support of the community. So, to everyone who tunes in and watches, to people who give bits, subscribe on Twitch, and to our beautiful, wonderful, loyal VIP customers, thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart, because without that support, we literally would not be able to do this. And I give you my word, I'm going to continue to keep trying to improve this, continue to keep running the best servers that we can, get rid of hackers as quickly as we can, and not just like try to catch them like one person at a time. We're building systems, we're working on things to automate it and to give us better tools to do a better job with it, because the people hired to do it haven't given us the tools and aren't doing the job. So we're working on it, and I appreciate your support and your patience as we continue to work on that situation. And just yeah, much love to you all. Thank you, Artemis and Miss D, as always, for being my co-MCs here.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And yeah, we're going to wind this puppy down. We will be back same time, same place next week, 1 p.m. Eastern every Thursday on Twitch. And check out rustified.com. Also, check us out on the socials. We're doing some more shorts and stuff like that, and posting that stuff. So follow us there to get news throughout the week. But once again, just much love to everyone. Thank you for the support. And with that, this is Bugs signing off. We'll catch you all later.